Welcome back to our women's health fitness training tips. Today we are continuing with our topic of mummy mobilizers, and I want to get into the inner thigh, but first I want to talk or give you a bit of background in female anatomy. So, the angle from the hip to the knee is called the Q angle, right? Now, an average male Q angle is about 14 degrees, where a female Q angle is about 17 degrees. Now, anything from 15 to 20 degrees, or in excess of 15 to 20 degrees, is associated with knee pain and patella pain and knee dysfunctions. So it follows that women are more likely to develop knee problems, although it's obviously multifaceted because estrogen plays a role in our joint laxity, and generally speaking, women are less stable than their male counterparts. Now, one of the most common sort of fixes or treatments or antidotes for knee problems because of that angle is things like, the band around your knees, the crab walk, your clams, where you're lying down and doing this sort of work. And I don't disagree with those because, women probably do need to work harder on stability. But I feel like in order to do those sorts of exercises well, we also have to look at the other side of the coin, which is the inner thigh. So, women with their higher Q angle, their increased joint laxity, will have flatter feet than their male counterpart. So if we look at what happens when I roll my feet flat, you see how the knees and there's like tension in here. If you don't address this first, all the monster walks in the world um, may not, because of course this stuff isn't studied, may not actually work. So, um, it's also worthwhile mentioning, it's a bit off topic, but women are more likely to have ankle and foot problems than men. And once you have an injury, you have an imbalance. So the point is, let's not get injured, okay? So in addition to this, mums especially will often have scars in their pelvis. So if you look at what happens to my shirt when I move my arms, that's kind of how fascia works in your body. See how the whole shirt moves? If I was wearing a moo and I moved my arms and my legs, this all slides and glides, right? But as soon as you've got a scar, it works like a knot. I move my arms, see it pull, right? That's kind of how scars work inside your pelvis. So by the time we've got scarring through the perineum and across the abdomen, we have the flatter feet, the wider Q angle, we really have a recipe for stress through the knees, especially the knees. And if we're going to mobilize women with this kind of posture, these are my favorite mobilizers to mitigate this tension. So obviously you're looking for that. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but basically if her patellas are pointing anywhere from the big toe further in, a personal trainer's natural inclination is to prescribe strength to the ones that pull it out. And that's not wrong. But let's not forget to release the inner thigh, because the more mobile the inner thigh, the easier this sort of work is going to be for her. So my favorite moves are the good old Turkish squat. And because I like to fidget, I move my arm, we call it 3D. I move my arm in 3 ways. Okay, so I've kind of gone over the top here. I go windmill over here. I go reach in a circle. And that's just for shits and giggles, literally. But when you practice this, you'll feel how the different arm positions impact your hip. Because if you're watching my shirt again as I move my body, all of these mobilizers are actually pulling through the inner thigh in a different way. Okay? Now, we're all comfortable with this sort of thing, you right? Okay, so that's a good stretch, but if you want to mobilize it, you need to move it. So one of the ways I like to move it is by rotating that hip inwards. So you can do this sitting, kneeling, or standing. So that's sitting, not kneeling, squatting. All right? And then standing is just a version of your, you can go the other way in the Turkish squat. I'm not as flexible on that side. And then you've got your upper body that you can move. So you can do a ballet stretch, you can reach around, and these will all release the inner thigh in a different way. Are you comfortable with this? Try this. Okay? Just give it a fidget. My belief is that will enhance the mobility and therefore ability of your female clients, especially if they have scars through their abdomens. And it will make your strength prescription, especially if you're prescribing glute exercises, even more effective. Any questions? You know where to reach me, and I will see you next week.